House Freedom Caucus member, Congressman David Brat. This is a guy you want to get to know if you're Donald Trump or any of his key people. Remember, it was Mr. Brat, Professor Brat at the time, who stunned the political world when he toppled Eric Cantor, the Republican leader in the House. That was then. This is now. Congressman, congratulations on your reelection, almost 60% of the vote, so I think they're still giving you a good grade there. But
thank you, Neil.
This meeting comes at a time when I think it's much more consequential for Donald Trump than that prior meeting with President Obama. Would you agree? And what do you want to see come out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the unity piece is important, and but what never gets debated up in D.C. in kind of the Hill newspapers is you got to compromise, you got to unify, but around what content? And that never gets spelled out. It's always about the horse race, right? Pelosi, Paul Ryan, Trump, Obama. It's always about the personalities, and the press doesn't spend enough time drilling down on the content. And so now the niceties are over, and now we'll see how it goes. And so I'm glad President Obama was complimentary and very respectful. Last week, however, the words were not nearly as kind, and boy, some just horrific charges at Trump. And so, I mean, part of this is the game of politics, but I think the American people are getting sick of that game. And so I think we need to just all be consistent in the political season and in the policy season so people know what's up.
Yeah, I know it was a little too nice, I think. I mean, I do remember the awful recrimination, the horrible stuff. Said, come on, man, all that stuff. But, Congressman, I mean, there are a lot of Freedom Caucus members and others who are getting restless about spending and making the deficit worse. But it's almost inevitable that this next year the deficit will get worse, and that a President Trump coming in with what he wants to do for infrastructure, what he wants to do with big tax cuts, which at least in the initial stage take revenue away from Washington before the revenue starts coming into Washington. Would you be okay with that?
It depends how the deal's structured. I talked with Steve Moore last night, one of his chief economic policy gurus. He's very optimistic. I mean, there's $1 trillion to $2 trillion overseas that'll come flowing back in. And so if there's some credible pay-fors that are staggered a year out, but it's important to note, right, the past 20 to 30 years, our leadership on both sides of the aisle have not done a good job. We've not been fiscally responsible. So we have $20 trillion in debt and $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. And in 10 years, just so people know the context, we'll have to deficit finance the entire government, $1.2 trillion, because all federal revenues will go to only the mandatory spending programs. And I'm on the Budget Committee, and we can't touch that huge piece.
But would you be open then? I guess what I'm saying, just to be clear, sir, is that you would be open and some of your members would be open. Well, let's say when it comes to these big across-the-board tax cuts Mr. Trump wants to get going on, and presumably, like, immediately. You'd be open to that, knowing full well that at the outset they could worsen the deficit.
Yeah, if they're sound, if they're targeted in the right way and they're credible tax cuts, we have a lot of good records, you know, JFK, Reagan, and then expansions that come after to pay for. And so I think that's a credible bet. And you'll get immediate relief. The stock market's going up right now, contrary to all prior reporting a week ago, when everyone was jittery, right? And so you see how it works. Everyone's looking out for their own special private interests a week ago. Now it's dawning on them, hey, with this guy, the whole GDP of the country might go. And guess what? The housing sector might come back, and automobiles might come back. And that lifts everybody. And so now everybody's going, oh, good. I remember the principles of Econ 101. It's supposed to work this way.
There you go. Well, it helps that you know economics, too. Congressman, again, congratulations. Great seeing you again.
Thank you, Neil. Great to be on.